What's up, everybody? I am back. I just reviewed the 1995 film Jumanji. Now I'll be covering the decades-long sequel, Welcome to the Jungle. This was directed by Jake Kasdan. Uh, wow, he's the one who did Red One. Ugh. Uh, but he did Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story. He also did Bad Teacher. So it's very sporadic with his films. So, this stars uh, Alex Wolff as Spencer. We got Cedarius Blaine as Fridge. Madison Eisman as Bethany. We got Morgan Turner as Martha. You guys, Reese Darby as Nigel Billingsley. Bobby Kenneville as Russell Van Pelt. Nick Jonas as Alex Varick, who is the character Jefferson Seaplane McDonough. But we got Mason Gusion as the real world Alex, as the teenager, but Colin Hanks as the adult version of him. Um, so they kind of play a little fast and loose with this because as we left off at the end of the first Jumanji film, where the board game is left adrift along a coastline where these two French girls find the board game. So now at the beginning of this film, it's 1996. Long after Sarah and Alan dished the board game back in 1969. In present day 1995, when they're adults and married, and they see the young kids that they helped in the proper timeline. Now the board game somehow came back in 1996 in America, back in Brentford, New Hampshire, found by uh uh found by Varick's father. Hold on. Alex Varick's father, who came home to show the kid like the board game, hopefully to play. But it's the 90s. Video game was definitely like really popping off, especially like video game cartridges. So the kid was completely disinterested in playing a board game, because since this game is supernatural, it is semi-sentient. It realized, okay, I need to get kids to play, so I got to play me, so I need to adapt to the times. So this is the type of game the kids are playing nowadays, so let me, it overnight transformed itself into a video game cartridge, which has different, instead of like a board game type of gameplay, this is like a video game type of gameplay with different set of rules and different set of characters. So characters in the video game are not game pieces. So what you get to play as in terms of an avatar is uh, Dr. Xander Smolder Bravestone, a strong, confident archaeologist and explorer who has no weaknesses. Kevin Hart, and he's played by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Kevin Hart plays the game character Anthony Fridge John. Plays Franklin Mouse Finbar, a diminutive zoologist and weapons carrier who has the weakness to strength, speed, and kick. Oh, well, Spencer plays like Bravestone. Fridge plays Mouse. You got Jack Black as the character Professor Sheldon Shelley Oberon, an overweight male expert in many scientific fields who has a weakness to endurance, who is the cartographer. You got Karen Gillan, who plays the character, the Avatar character, Ruby Roundhouse, scantily clad commando with a weakness to venom. And of course, Nick Jones is the character Seaplane Madonna, who is an aircraft pilot with a weakness to mosquitoes. Which, by the way, okay. Here's the pros and cons I gotta say about these Avatar characters the actors are playing. Now, in most cases, I'll be rolling my eyes by the fact that, okay, you got these big name actors playing these particular characters. But no, there's more so they're playing in-game characters that have to like have these kind of over-exaggerated video game type of stuff. So you can let that one slide by. But I think it was around this time where I got to the point where I was getting kind of fatigued with this whole Kevin Hart, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson pairing in these films, because kind of sort of not in this film but in other films, they just playing themselves, and it's just gotten like, they play the same beats in every script that they have to be paired up in. Like, oh, we gotta make some short joke about Kevin Hart, and I understand he's a comedian, so he heard all the jokes, so he's taking a stride. It's not a big deal to him, but it's just like, but it's not funny anymore. It was funny when the first 3 or 4 films he started to really pop off in. But after a while, okay, that is just a tired joke. Even with these certain commercials, like these holiday commercials that he just recently was in, he's playing this like goofy looking elf. And it's like, oh yes, he's playing a short character. Ha 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 ha. It's not funny no more. It's not being clever. What would be clever if be something like in Avengers Endgame, where you got Peter Dinklage as this dwarf, but he is like a giant dwarf. That'll be turning things on his head. I'll find it clever if they do something like that with Kevin Hart, where he's actually playing like a tall giant or something like that to play against type. That'll be clever. And of course, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, in every movie he's in, he's not doing anything unique with any roles. He just Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I don't even know why they even bothered to even give him character names in any movie he's in, because he can play like, oh, he's Smolder Bravestone or whatever character he was in that Jungle Cruise movie. And it's like, they might as well just skip that part and just like, okay, we're going to call you Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I was like, oh, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in this gripping noir detective genre film. And while we got, you know, uh, I don't know, we got uh, uh, pick a, we got Tom Hanks as uh, Dustin Billingsley, and we got Michelle Pfeiffer as Cynthia Van Horn. But we got Dwayne The Rock Johnson as just Dwayne The Rock Johnson. We're just gonna call him Dwayne The Rock Johnson, or just Dwayne Johnson. Why bother? Because he is. While these other actors, sure, there's been characters like Keanu Reeves is probably guilty of that a little bit. It just kind of playing this kind of like just Keanu Reeves. He's this very chill dude. Doesn't really do all that much stretching of his certain performances. But I think Dwayne Johnson is extremely guilty of this because he does not stretch. Sure, I get it. He probably got a lane and he's sticking to it, and he doesn't need to like rock the boat, I guess. But it just seems, heck, even something like Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger stretch their acting chops here and there. Heck, Arnold Schwarzenegger's character Howard in Jingle All the Way is definitely a stark contrast to his character in Commando or The Terminator. Dwayne The Rock Johnson, there's no movie he's in that he is doing something unique. I'm pretty sure there may be one or two out of his repertoire, but all of them, darn near all of them are just him. And that's I like a lot of the movie he's in, but to give my honest critiques, he is not doing anything unique. He's just doing the same shtick. Ugh. Anyway, I do like, and a lot of people made praises about this, but I want to say it again. Jack Black, who has been guilty of doing the exact same stuff in his films, you know, more often than not, but whenever he does, on rare occasions, stretch his acting chops, we have to highlight that. Like in this, he's playing a young teenage girl who's into her phone, and he doing an amazing job at it. You buy that this is the little girl in a Jack Black avatar. So, like, he did a fantastic job. Karen Gillan, she's always great. There's really no notes when it comes to her character, but I just want to highlight that now and get it out the way. So anyway, after the board game turns to a video game, it entices this teenage boy, Alex, into playing it. Like Alan, gets sucked into the game rather than the game pour things out. In this movie and the sequel, it doing something entirely different. Well, kind of based off the animated series, where they're pulling people inside the world of Jumanji rather than stuff in Jumanji pouring out. And so the father of Alex, thinking the kid ran away, something or other, and of course, like Alan's home, Alex's home went completely disheveled, but the father is just like a broken shell of a man because he never knew what happened to his son. And just like with Alan's father, rumors around town spread about Alex's father having something to do with the mysterious disappearance of his son. And he's just become like a creepy old man in a haunted house. So fast forward to present day, 2017, where we see these four group of kids uh, all end up getting detention in various different ways. Martha for not participating in PE class, saying, and then making a snide comment about the PE teacher, like her job is kind of pointless kind of situation. But I love like the back and forth with the PE teacher who mentions to the girls like, well, PE is important because it teaches you how to work as a team, and which is like important in life, and camaraderie, being active, which you have to be in life. It is important. PE actually has some importance than we as kids don't realize. Uh, then of course Spencer and Fridge gets in trouble because Fridge gets Spencer to do his homework for him, this essay, and the and like, look, I know it's probably wrong, but when I was in middle school, I have often helped my classmates with their homework. In exchange, I wasn't dumb. I did it in exchange for, favors or stuff. So it was kind of like a quid pro quo kind of situation. Because I was pretty good in a lot of subjects in school, but unlike Spencer, I wasn't dumb enough to do the exact same stuff to make it obvious that there's a appearance of a copying situation. Like, because I told, and even the classmates understood. Like, I told them, like, if it was math, I told them, look, I'm going to tell you right now, I do not know fractions. I suck at it. So it's probably not a good idea that you have me do that part. You probably have to figure that out probably yourself, or you have somebody else who knows better to answer those kind of questions. I do not know that. That is something I do not know. Or something akin to that. So that way it won't look so blatantly obvious that, we have the exact same stuff. This fool used the exact same last sentence he did in different essays, which, by the way, I don't even know why this teacher still have older homework assignments that she can use as a reference point from the previous year to call him out on it. Because it should have been enough for just the more recent stuff. But you pull up stuff a year ago. Let me look this up because it doesn't make any sense. How long does teachers keep homework assignments? How long do... All right, the length of time teachers keep homework records varies, but it generally ranges from one academic year to 5 or 7. Wow! Depending on the school policies and record grade books. Oh, well, shut my mouth. Yeah, it's a little fun fact for you guys. Teachers keep like homework records up to like maybe one, depending on the school. They keep like the homework records on the file for 1 to maybe 7 years. So yeah, so if you try to pull a fast one, they can easily pull it up. Holy crap! I did not know that. I thought it would be like, oh, after a year they just dumped this crap because like, why bother? But yeah, so never mind. That is actually surprisingly accurate. Uh, so she points out that okay, clearly there was a copying situation. So Fridge, who's having Spencer do his work for him so he can stay on like the football team, he gets pulled off the team. So, and then we got not Martha, Bethany, who decides to answer her phone in the middle of a pop quiz. And I know teenagers can be dumb sometimes, but not dumb enough to actually pull out their phone in the middle of a quiz to talk with one of her friends. No teenagers that dense. And I didn't grow up in the. We like as I was growing up, we had like cell phones, but it was like more so flip phones. And we wasn't so glued to them like kids are nowadays. But even still, I doubt any kid will have their phone on during classes because there obviously will be a penalty or their phones will be confiscated. Heck, I got my Pokemon cards confiscated because me and a friend of mine was trading cards and playing during class. Well, now I'm thinking about it. No, they got my science teacher. Matter of fact, now I'm thinking about it. My science teacher confiscated me and my friends' Pokemon cards. We was playing during recess, so that shouldn't really count. Now I'm thinking about it, but I guess you shouldn't bring it to school in general. I guess whatever. But our cards got confiscated. So you think for 1 second that they won't hesitate to confiscate your phone? Whatever. It's just to organize a way to get this girl detention. So all four of them ends up getting detention, and they have to go in the basement to remove all the staples from the magazine so they can be recycled for later. They end up finding this the game console where the Jumanji game was donated to the school or something. Cause I guess the father donated it because that's what his son had in his room. So they decided to play, and they chose the avatars. They end up getting sucked into the video game, where they discover that they got 3 lives each, and if they use up all their lives, they might die for real. It's not really fully confirmed, but given the dangers of Jumanji from this game and in the past movie, there's some real serious consequences in this universe. So, they're tasked to finding the Jaguar's jewel to place it back on the statue, and yell Jumanji in order to get out of the game. And each of the avatars has a unique skill set and unique weaknesses. Except for Bravestone for some freaking reason. Oh, well, actually, no. It's kind of weird. I'm looking on the wiki. Strength is fearlessness, strength, speed, climbing, boomerang, smoldering, intensity. Just to give the excuse to give the Rock Dune his special kind of look. But on the wiki, he has a weakness to switchblades. But in the movie, it says no weaknesses. But I guess it's kind of like I guess they kind of updated that for the next film, next level. Um, I guess it's like in Welcome to the Jungle, it was like just played as a joke because The Rock is such like a cool badass that there's no way he has like a weakness to anything. Uh, uh, Mouse is strength. knowledge of zoology, weapons valet, because you got a massive backpack that carries all the weapons and items. Uh, Carneal assault. I cannot pronounce this word. Uh, lingu- Linguistics. Weakness to cake, speed, and strength. Uh, Professor Shelby uh, skills is skilled at cartography, archaeology, paleontology, and geometry. He's the only person that can actually read the map that was given to them. Uh, Weakness to endurance, heat, sun, and sand. Uh, Ruby Roundhouse. Uh, Strength, karate, tai chi, aikido, dance fighting, nunchucks. Weakness to venom. Uh, and finally, uh, Seaplane Madonna. Uh, Strength is piloting, making margaritas. Uh, Weakness to mosquitoes. And Nick Jones is in this is like amazing. The smallest, like, he's in here for like a, I don't know, good 15, 20 minutes of screen time. But man, he plays this little role like he's really good. As a matter of fact, you know, growing up, because that's when like the Jones Brothers was like really getting hot. I didn't much care one way or another about the three brothers because they're very faith based kind of family and uh, they're great singers. Uh, but I just like I never got into them. But over time, and more so in the past few years, matter of fact, I say around the time it was one of the brothers. I'm pretty sure it was Nick who got married to the actress, the Indian woman. I forgot her name. Priyanka Chopra, I think that's it. And that massive long wedding that they end up having, I ended up learning a little bit more about them as people and not just the celebrity version. And I got like a lot more respect for the brothers and their upbringing, and they live like very wholesome lives and very still maintain down to earth kind of mindset. And it's like, man, I got a lot more respect for them. Maybe so I never, I'm pretty sure I heard their music, but I just never retained in my mind about their music. But in terms of people, I got a massive amount of respect for the Jonas Brothers. It's like they're really good, like really good people. Um, uh, but and hell, like they're really good actors too, especially Nick. Anyway, so uh, the quartet gets sucked into the game, and uh, they have to work together. Because they never social. I mean, aside from Spencer and Fridge, who used to be friends until it's kind of like typical in like school type of films, where you know two friends that used to be close, but then one of them got hot and popular, and then kind of left the other one in the dirt. But uh, that's the dynamic that they had because now it's like, oh, he got big and buff and handsome, and he got popular, and Spencer is kind of like a string bean kind of nerd with allergies or some kind of thing. Very typical. So, uh, uh, they have to get used to uh, their characters and utilizing their unique stats in order to get through uh, the levels in order to reach to the end. One of such missions is trying to find the missing piece, which they have to go to this local bazaar in order to end up finding this missing piece, while trying to avoid and stop Professor Van Pelt, which is, I guess, kind of sort of like this video game version of the descendant of Van Pelt, the game hunter from the previous film, who stole the jewel which corrupted him and sent the world of Jumanji into a downward spiral. And he's able to command the wildlife. But little by little, he's kind of like looking more sickly because he's getting so corrupted. So, uh, 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 so they end up going to the bazaar where, well, first before they get there, they have this little tiff amongst each other, which I kind of appreciate. They get this little, because usually they wait until halfway through or in the third act where there's kind of like a big bickering amongst the group, kind of infighting thing. But no, they get this part out the way very quickly, which I do appreciate. Like Bethany and Martha, had like a talk where it's like, look, we misunderstand each other, but it's like, but I gotta tell you that like, okay, Bethany, you seem a lot more self-absorbed. You come kind of like a cliche, and the world doesn't revolve around you kind of situation, and it kind of makes you look kind of like an arrogant ass. While Bethany takes the criticism and understands, like, okay, maybe I have been behaving, because that's what Jumanji games end up, having the players learn a little bit about each other along the way, inadvertently. Bethany ends up telling Martha, it's like, look, you're hot. You gotta own it. You end up pushing other people away because you're afraid they might end up harming you emotionally. So you're trying to, hurt them first before they can get a chance to hurt you. But you gotta, deal with that. While Fridge and Spencer is a little less talking, more so on a physical aspect, because that's how usually guys deal with things. Not necessarily proud of it, not saying it's right, but that's how we end up dealing with some, our issues. Typically, usually with an argument, sometimes there's a physical, altercation, but Fridge ends up blaming Spencer for him getting the attention, getting kicked off the football team. And Spencer finally stands up to himself, realizing, like, hey, like, you're a dumbass. And of course, Fridge, because in the game, he's weak by comparison to Bravestone. So you can't really, but Spencer's still Spencer, so he's still very frightened of a lot of stuff. But Fridge, it's kind of weird. He pushes, out of frustration, he pushes Spencer over the cliff, causing him to die and lose his life, and he pours it back with the team. Which, like, I agree with Bethany, like, dude, you are psychotic. It's like, but he's like, don't worry, he'll be back. But it's just like, dude, that's not the point. The fact that you wasted a life that didn't need to be wasted because I get it, they're teenagers. Their emotions are still, raging, so they can't process correctly. But then in the next beat, when you try to push Spencer again, he's not able to do it. And maybe because Spencer's more bracing himself now. It's still kind of weird, but he prevents Frizz from falling over and wasting a life. And they two had to look, we don't have time for this. We need to work together in order to get out of here. So kind of Spencer kind of took on this leadership role, because he's Bravestone. He's pretty much like a must. He has to take on the leadership role is kind of thrust upon him at this point. But each one of these kids end up having to learn to take on their responsibilities. Oh, and there is a funny part where Bethany has to, because she's in the body of a man, she has to figure out how to pee. And so Spencer and Fridge has to pretty much instruct her how to use a penis in order to be able to use the bathroom. And he's like, oh my God, it's so easy. It's like a handle. It's like, that part is really funny. Okay, that's probably one of the funniest parts of the film. But they end up going to the bazaar where they find the next clue, and they get accosted by Van Pelt and his men, but rescued by their missing piece, which turns out to be Alex in his character of McDonough. And in his mind, he's been here for months, but because he's been here so long, he knows, where all the pitfalls at, and the traps, and all this other stuff. And he ends up taking them to Alan's treehouse. A nice little Easter egg, and now that we kind of know where Alan, hung his hat essentially while he was trapped in Jumanji for 26 years. So Alex ends up fighting it and pretty much held up shop here, while somehow having the necessary resources to make margaritas. Well, I guess since they got the enemy has motorcycles, I guess it stands to reason. It's no reason why you couldn't find a blender, I guess. Now I'm thinking about what I could do for a margarita right now. Anyway, it turns out that the reason Alex didn't get to the next level, because they come to realize this game requires everybody playing these avatars. It's kind of like with the board game, you need all 4 people in order to progress. The video game version, you need, well, in the sequel there's more characters, but because it updated itself again. But in this game there's 5, in this movie there's 5 characters, and you need all 5 you need 5 people to play all 5 characters, because they have to work as a team. There are certain spots you cannot progress without a particular character's skill set. Like, if nobody chose Dr. Shelby, nobody could have read the map and progressed beyond the first level in the first place, because only Shelby is able to, since he's a cartographer, he's the only person who can read the map. And none of the team can progress to a particular level, or at least the final level, without seaplane, because he's the only person who's an expert pilot, and they need to be able to fly to the next level. So in order to get to the plane, they need Ruby Roundhouse to distract the guards around that place. And if without Ruby Roundhouse, they couldn't get to the plane in order to be able to fly it. Oh, and they end up getting the jewel after. Oh, they was handed the jewel after Nigel stealing it from Van Pelt. So I thought that was like a good narrative thing to include here. That was very smart, yeah, because this game is based on teamwork, and you couldn't progress at a particular level without one of the teams providing a skill set. And the fact that they need the zoologist to defang the snake in order to get to the next clue inside the basket. So they'll have like particular skill set that is required in order to get to a particular part. So they end up at the final level, but they clearly understand that this is like a trap. So since it requires expert climbing, Spencer tries to make it over this pathway that's seemingly safe, but clearly is not, because there are jaguars lurking in the shadows. But because Spencer got scared off by a squirrel, he ends up falling and getting mauled by jaguars, and then ported back with the team at the start. So at this point, everybody's on their last, aside from Ruby Roundhouse, who has 2 lives left. Everybody else is on their last life. Bethany ends up sacrificing her second life in order to replenish Seaplane's final life after he gets stung by a mosquito, which apparently I guess you get to do in this video game, pretty much sacrifice a life bar for another character. But I love this moment where Fridge and Spencer gets like kind of like a one-on-one kind of reconciliation, where Spencer, after respawning, has asked to have a one-on-one chat with Fridge, because despite everything, he still considers him as a friend. So he has this probably one-on-one thing where it's like, okay, full disclosure, I'm completely terrified. I like video games because he's a video game expert, so he knows how to like help the others kind of navigate through video game like landscapes and stuff. But now he's freaking out because like, look, I only got 1 life left. If I screw up, that's it. We're stuck here. But then Fridge ended up quoting his principal, where he kind of points out, like, we always do in the real world. We always have 1 life. This just all depends on how you choose to live it. Which I like that little one-on-one chat between these friends, where he kind of gives some words of encouragement to his friend to give him like this most needed pep talk. And Fridge get the chance to really strut his stuff, where he has, since he's kind of like a football player, he has everybody run a plan like a football team, where he distracts Van Pelt thinking that Bravestone has the jewel, but it turns out that Fridge has it. Where after he spiritually connects with the elephant, they play pretty much like tag with this jewel, where Spencer takes a motorcycle up to the top of the jaguar statue, while Martha gets the jewel that was in a pit of snakes, and she ends up sacrificing her second life by getting a snake venom into her so she can die, but she will still have the jewel with her. So as she's respawning out of the sky to port safely back to the ground, she meets up with Spencer as he's riding on top of the statue as she's falling down, and she's passed off the jewel, you know, very smoothly to him as he is placing it on the statue as they all scream Jumanji. So they, you know, save the world of Jumanji, stop Van Pelt, and Nigel shakes everybody's hands so that way they can part back home. And like with the previous film, time fixes, at least with Alex, where to the players, everything, they remember what happened in the previous timeline, while all the world doesn't remember a timeline where Alex's house was dilapidated and his father was like a broken man. He lived out his life back in 1996, where he, you know, grew up normally, had like a wife and kids. One of them is a daughter he named after Bethany, the person who saved his life. Um, uh, um, Spencer and Martha grew close together, spawning a budding relationship. And they had some newfound point of view on life and given their ordeal. They kind of like, you know, kind of grew up a little bit in this. They're destroying that freaking, which is kind of weird. They smashed a bowling ball on top of the game, but the board game was supposed to be indestructible because of the magic. They shouldn't be able to be destroyed like this here, but whatever. The continuity is a little iffy at times, trying to maintain like consistency. And then next movie they end up patching it up again somehow. Whatever. It's dumb. Somehow that still made money, but I don't remember anybody really caring for the next level as much as they cared for this. But in any case, that was Welcome to the Jungle. Have fun watching. It's a fun movie watch. Does it hold up to the same standard as the first movie? No. I think the first movie offered like a more unique take, while the Welcome to the Jungle and Next Level treated like an IP. It's just another content that studios can mine from. Not necessarily means like it's all bad, but I'm just saying that there's a unique X factor in the first movie that made it such a standout. While Welcome to the Jungle, the pros I have about it is the fact that they didn't play the same beat. They took something, well, in the 90s and the 80s and the 70s, families come together with board games. While post 90s into 2000s, more so video games kind of bring people together. Whereas on a rarity, you have people playing board games with one another. However, this is unique take on the world of Jumanji, where you just utilizing video game rules instead of board game rules, but still have the same consequences and outcomes as the previous film. So I appreciate that. Still like a fun watch. There's times it gets very, because it cast Dwayne The Rock Johnson and Kevin Hart, so it gets very The Rock Johnson-y, Kevin Hardy at times. Not crazy egregious like in most films that they're in, but it's all right. It's still fun. But anyway, leave a comment below. Let me know what you guys think of the Jumanji films. What you think of The Next Level? Because, like I said, I don't care to watch that film. they, and for me personally, they managed to eke out a positive in terms of Welcome to the Jungle, where I can definitely see myself watching this again, not to the same amount as I've done with the first movie, but it's a decent sequel. But in any case, I'll see you guys a little bit later. Take care. See you soon. Oh, and the final week before November ends, there will be one more trilogy that I'll be covering. Still part of family, but I'll leave that as a surprise. Something I haven't seen in a mighty long time, but it's a critically acclaimed trilogy. At least the first two are. But I'll leave that as a surprise. But I'll see you guys soon. Take care.